I've been in private practice as a career and personal coach for 35 years, had 6,000 clients, and I'm glad I've been in private practice. I think, though, that part of why I'm glad and have stayed with it so long, I'm not burned out at all either, is that I've learned things over the years to make it easier to be successfully in private practice. And I like to think that the ideas I'm going to share with you are relevant whatever kind of private practice you're in, whether you're a psychotherapist or you're a consultant of some sort or uh, whatever. At least some of it should be. So anyway, here we go. I have been asked a number of times why I haven't burned out at all, and I think head and shoulders above all the other factors I'm going to mention is that, and I'm no Buddhist, but I like the Buddhist concept of just being in the moment and focusing on what you can control, which is your actions. You can't control the outcome of your efforts. So I try to be absolutely fully present in every session, and I do my best. Not too hard, but I do my best, and hope that that's good enough. But if my client doesn't like it, I will certainly ask for feedback. But if they don't follow through on their homework or they're not making progress, I will either decide that, I'll say, I don't think we're quite right for each other. I'm not being as helpful as I want. We'll discontinue. Or I'll just accept that some people move more slowly. So I'm invested only in my actions, not the outcome. And that has kept me from burning out. I know for sure that I will never burn out as a career counselor. And I think that's the number one key. Something that makes it fun and therefore less stressful. I bring myself to sessions. I will joke. I will occasionally, use a curse word. When my client needs a break, sometimes I'll just take a break. But sometimes, if it feels appropriate, with their permission, I'll play a couple of minutes of soft music on the piano. They like that. These days in COVID, most of my clients are virtual, but I have an occasional client who I see socially distanced in my backyard, and I've taken to baking for them. And I've, worked on my recipes until I'm very happy with some of them now. I really like my, normally blueberry scones or any scones are dry. Mine are not dry, and they're quite tasty. I make blueberry walnut scones or lemon walnut blueberry pound cake or anyway, and that's a piece of me, and I think people like that. I will often give little presents so that if somewhere in the session we discuss something that they say they'd like, or it could be a book or whatever, I'll often just jump on my computer and go to Amazon, a couple of clicks, and get them nothing expensive, but something inexpensive. It's fun. I do like, one of my hobbies is gardening, and might give them some tomato seedlings I've grown, or I hybridized roses. Might even give them one of my roses that I've hybridized, or some seeds, tomato seeds or whatever. Even I like, I have one of my fun little habits is when I write, I don't write very many letters anymore. Even most bills are online. But if I have to mail something, I will often put individualized stamps, for that match a person's desire. So I collect these stamps, and I'll sometimes give clients that I think would like particular stamps. I'd give them some stamps. Anyway, point is, all those little things make my practice more pleasurable and easier. And I've actually, I keep in touch with some of my clients over the years, and some of them don't remember very much about our work together, but they'll remember the little gifts that I gave. And so anyway, that's another way I kind of make my private practice more pleasurable. I move. I sit in front of Zoom a lot with clients, but I often I'm not finding that much additional value from Zoom versus phone. So especially after the first session, I'll encourage the clients to work with me by phone. Why? So both of us can move around. They say sitting is the new smoking, and moving around is healthy. It also increases the circulation. So I will often I might weed or I might dust while I'm working. It's mindless, doesn't distract me, but I'm moving and it feels better. It's also something that just makes my practice easier. And I even have some clients where we walk the neighborhood while we work. Or I have one client I've worked with for years, and when she comes here, she comes to the door, and I take the dog and her for a walk to my favorite cafe. And we work while we're walking there, and work while we're having breakfast or whatever, and work while we're coming back. And it's another very pleasurable way, keeping moving. It's individualizing. It's a nice way to run your private practice. I don't think most people are as comfortable sitting in an office or on Zoom than they are walking around. And so it's another way to make practice easier for me as well as for my clients. The other things I'm going to share with you are ways that I make my practice more pleasurable, or what I call efficiencies. I don't do any billing. For my remote clients, I have a new client questionnaire that they complete, and in there it asks for their credit card information, or that they can PayPal me in advance of the session. And because it's just, it's not fun to go after clients to get them to pay. So if it's an in-person session, they pay at the end of the session, either with a check or credit card or PayPal, or like I said, remotely they'll pay with a credit card or PayPal, and that's really, it reduces a lot of stress in administrivia. Also, I don't do a lot of practitioners remind clients the day before that they have an upcoming session. I don't do that. It's another piece of administrivia that I can avoid, and only a very small percentage of my parents. My clients don't show up, and if they have a good reason, like God forbid they were sick or got in an accident, I don't charge. But in the initial confirmatory email that I send, which by the way is a template, so I don't have to create one from scratch all the time, but I do customize. Usually the first sentence or two are customized to the person. It mentions that I do charge for missed sessions sessions with people that don't cancel within 24 hours. If they say, "Oh, I forgot," then I tend to charge, and I usually don't charge for a whole session. I usually charge just for a half-hour session worth. Anyway, so those are things that simplify my life, make private practice easier. Also, I will turn down some clients. When, say, even up front, if a client will email me and I get a sense that I really don't want to champion this person, or that we might not be that compatible, I'll say that I'll refer them to somebody else, or give them some free advice, some self-help advice or whatever. But even sometimes after a session or two, I get the sense that this is not right for me or for the person, and I'll tactfully discontinue working with them, which again avoids burnout, and it's good for the client, it's good for me. What else do I want to say? The way I charge moderately. If I charge too little, it's too big a risk that people will think if he's cheap, he can't be good. But if I charge a lot, then I don't want them to, if I charge a lot, then they're going to think, oh, he's only in it for the money. Or I would feel undue pressure to get big results too fast. So I charge a moderate amount. I do fancy myself as a quite good career and personal coach, but I don't charge above average. I charge pretty much in the middle of the market for that reason. During the sessions, I don't take notes, so I can really fully focus on the client. It's not distracted. And as soon as the session is over, I religiously, the next thing I do right after I've said goodbye to the client, I will take notes, but only a modest amount of notes, because the really important things are kind of top of mind. That both saves me time, the important things stay in the fore, and then I don't feel the need to take notes during the session because they're really relatively small amount of it. Important stuff is I'll be taking notes. And I always reread my notes, sometimes just from the most recent session, but I will often reread my notes for many sessions, if I've worked with somebody for even a year or two, which is not that common, but it's occasional. I will read all the notes if I feel if it's worth it. I have a number of clients who I'll see a few times, maybe weekly, and then we take a break. We say, I think we're done for now, and some of them will check in like they go to a dentist twice a year. They'll come in for a checkup and kind of tweak their life, their act twice a year. I have a number of clients who I've seen for over a decade on that kind of basis, and that's wonderful because it's not like I feel the need to keep them there all the time, which would be more a source of stress. But it's also nice to have the long-term relationships that I get to see certain clients and see how what they're like 6 months later, and that feels very rewarding. Anyway, usually I take a break during this, but this is such a short one. I think I'm just going to end here and say that I hope that one or more of these ideas can help you enjoy your practice more. And as I like to end every session, which every one of these, whether you're watching on YouTube or my How to Do Life podcast, which is available on Apple or Spotify, especially in these times where we're so polarized and I believe quite intolerant of people whose views are different than ours, I like to end this podcast video with my favorite quote. We find comfort among those who agree with us, growth among those who don't.